Have you noticed that the wellness space seems to be toxic these days? It's either perfection by whomever's standard, or you're an absolute failure and will never experience lasting health. But no one can agree on the standard. The online health space is the worst offender. People online are just plain mean and are always moving the goalpost. In our community, that is the chronic illness community, this perfectionist approach to health and wellness is incredibly disheartening and frustrating. In today's episode, I'm going to walk you through the foundational steps that lead to health and how to deal with people who make you question everything you are doing in the most toxic way possible. Welcome to the Therapeutic Food Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Marian Mitchell. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, therapeutic diet expert, and founder of The Road to Living Whole. There are many different diets out there. It's hard to know which one is right for you with your chronic illness and autoimmune disease. In this podcast, I'm going to share with you the foundational pieces every single therapeutic diet out there shares, and also how to use the best one for your particular diagnosis. If you've been looking for a meal planning partner, help navigating the complicated healthcare system, and want to feel better quickly, I'm your girl. Grab your kombucha and notebook. Let's dive in. The wellness space tends to go down a toxic path. It's hard to recognize when you're desperately trying to find what will reverse your symptoms so you can have the normal life you desire. Between social media, algorithms, AI, and people trying to sell you products, it's difficult to navigate what is essential to health and what is nice to be able to do, or just plain expensive fluff that may or may not help in any way. As a health coach, I struggle to keep my clients sticking to the foundations because everyone and their brother is promising X, Y, and or Z is going to solve all of their issues without any other change required. Or X is the root cause of all of their health issues, and if they can just remove this one thing, their life will forever change for the better. Oh, and it's $20,000 to remove it from their life completely. I've been in this health space for over 20 years, working in the trenches for over 13, and I've done many of the extremes myself over all these years, but I've never been a perfectionist. I've always had this approach of, I'll do the best I can, and I'll work towards more as I go. Then, being in this world as long as I have, I've come to realize that while there's a ton of really cool and helpful stuff out there, the foundation is really where it's at. Everything else is a bonus if you want to do it and can afford it. And the toxic, all-or-nothing people who constantly move the goalpost can shove it. Let's talk about what the foundations are, and then I'll discuss what extras can be truly helpful when you can, and what is pretty much fluff and probably unnecessary unless you want to experiment and blow money for fun. The foundations there's 7 of them. Eating real, whole, minimally processed food is the majority of your diet. Sleeping 7 to 9 hours every single night. Going outside and getting sunshine daily. Daily movement or exercise. A supportive community and healthy relationships, healthy stress management strategies, and minimizing toxins in your home and in your body care products. These 7 are the foundation of a healthy life. And I'm going to briefly share my definition of each of these before moving on to the extras that I think can be helpful. Number 1, eating real, whole, minimally processed food. First and foremost, there's allowed to be a transition period. If you're used to eating a mostly ultra-processed food diet full of convenience and fast foods, jumping straight to whole foods is completely unrealistic. You can pick one meal at a time to make over until you're in a groove, and then add another one and keep doing that until your diet is 80 to 90% real whole foods. Frozen and canned foods are definitely options, so don't think you have to be spending hours and hours in the kitchen just to eat 3 to 4 times a day. Number 2, sleeping 7 to 9 hours. It's important that you go to bed and wake up around the same time every single day. Obviously, life happens and there are celebrations and such. It's essential that your body is in a routine most of the time. This actually lowers the stress response in your body, allows plenty of time for the body to clean up, which is what it's doing while you're asleep, and to heal itself. All things that can't be done if you're not getting sufficient sleep on a regular basis. Number 3, going outside daily. The sun sets our body's circadian rhythm, along with all kinds of other cool stuff. Also, being exposed to the weather throughout the year helps our bodies be resilient. No need for saunas or ice baths when you're allowing your body to acclimate to the weather year-round. Grounding by touching the earth with bare feet is another health essential that is completely free. For millennia, up until very, very recently, we lived outside connected to the earth. We still need to do that today. So drink your morning coffee on your front porch or back porch. Take a 10-minute walk at lunch, and then eat dinner outside or go for a walk after dinner. That's really all it takes to be getting outside daily and supporting your health. It does not have to be extreme. Number 4, daily movement/exercise. This is a must for many reasons, including moving the garbage out via our lymphatic system, blood glucose regulation, pain management, hormone and thyroid support, etc. 30 minutes of walking or dancing daily, and then add strength training 2 to 3 days a week for 10 to 20 minutes goes a very, very long way towards a healthy and vibrant life. Having a supportive community and healthy relationships, absolutely necessary and invaluable. I know it's easier said than done in our world today, but we need people we see and talk to on a weekly and maybe even a daily basis to be healthy. We need hugs, we need connection, and cultivating this is essential. Having healthy stress management strategies is required. Stress happens, and we need to develop resiliency so that we can bounce back from stress quickly. Chronic high stress leads to chronic illness, and learning to be resilient and not let stress take hold is a must in the healing process. There are many different ways to do this, and it's pretty individualized to arrive in this place. Like if you have trauma that needs to be resolved, then that's going to have to be resolved, but also, there's like box breathing and, all kinds of other stuff. But really knowing what's going on in your life and the stress that you're dealing with, it might take, developing systems. Like it's multifaceted and individualized, but getting a handle on this is really important. And then last but not least is minimizing toxins in your home and what you place on your body. It's non-negotiable. Our bodies are designed to detox, yes, but the toxins we are exposed to today are more than our bodies were ever designed to handle. And you can do this in stages. Every little bit helps, and perfection is not required. One of the biggest things you can do is all of those Glade plugins and scented candles, unplug them and toss them out of your home today. And then get rid of all of your perfumes. Replace plastic food storage containers with glass ones. Wet dust weekly and vacuum at least once a week, but more is better. Open your windows daily to get fresh air. And then slowly swap body and hair products with less toxic ones. But also pick and choose what's most important. I color my hair, so I use mainstream hair products that my stylist tells me to use that has like less paraffins and sulfates and stuff, but still isn't, super clean. But I'm also super low toxin what I use to wash my face and my body and put lotion on and my makeup. So, pick and choose. Let's talk about some extras that can be helpful. One is getting to a place that you can afford to avoid the dirty dozen in produce. The Environmental Working Group comes out with a list of the dirty dozen every year. And when you can go organic with those, it's really helpful. You don't have to go fully organic in everything unless you want to, but at least avoiding the dirty dozen when you can afford it and have access to be able to is really helpful. Blue light filters and or filtering glasses after the sun goes down to help with melatonin production before bed. If you love to watch TV in the evenings and such, this can be really helpful so that your body can start producing melatonin even while you are watching TV, because the blue light prevents melatonin production, which is why we have such a hard time falling asleep at night. Red light therapy. High quality red light therapy can be extremely beneficial for helping speed up the healing at a cellular level, especially when acute symptoms flare. does not replace going outside, but it can be a great addition to that. Now, ice baths and saunas are really individualized. Ice baths tend to be more effective for men versus women, and saunas tend to be more effective for women versus men. But some people overdo it, and overdoing it can cause problems. And so, I'm one of those that I'm like, get educated before you do it, but I don't think they're necessary. I think going outside is necessary, but those are just extras if you want to. Air purifiers. These can be really helpful, especially if they're high quality and you are in the process of maybe cleaning out your ducts, mold remediation, or cleaning up the air quality in your home after removing all the scented plugins. I don't think they are a requirement most of the time. There are certain conditions where they are absolutely helpful and maybe even necessary. But for most of us, opening up our windows every day is going to clean up our air plenty. And as you're listening to this, if you're on social media much, you might be finding yourself thinking, but so-and-so said that this X is a must, and the reasoning was compelling. I agree, it probably was compelling, and you might be convinced they are a must, otherwise you'll never truly be healthy. But if you are already doing the foundations and still aren't where you want to be health-wise, doing your research and investing in an additional step or two can be helpful for sure. However, they might not move the needle much at all. Every single case of chronic illness is different. Everyone's budget is different. No extra can replace the foundational pieces. And that's just the truth of it. Extras can be helpful when the foundational pieces are in place and maybe have only moved the needle so far. And after that, you can experiment. But I really want to emphasize that perfection isn't required, just consistency. Now I want to address a couple of quote-unquote popular no-nos that people out there love to harp on. Number 1 is using microwaves. Number 2, never using plastic anything, cooking with olive oil, and then using mainstream anything, body care products, medications, etc. There's a time and a place for everything. I went months without a microwave before breaking down and buying one. I needed my kids to be independent, and sometimes life is busy, I'm exhausted, and I don't want to do more dishes. I go through phases where it gets used a lot, and then others where it gets used very little. And so there are certain conditions where microwaves cause like significant headaches or significant pain. And so it's worth the extra time and extra dishes to do things more slowly. But if it's a huge burden to go without one, they don't do that much damage. Especially if it's, maybe not every meal, but, it's enough that it's worth keeping one around. It's not going to completely derail your health goals. And let's talk about plastic. Sometimes you run out of water while you're at an event and need to drink out of a plastic water bottle. Sometimes you're going to get takeout food. Sometimes you're going to go to Thanksgiving at somebody else's house and they're going to offer you leftovers in a plastic container. Just don't reheat your food in it. Put the food on a plate or reheat it in a pot or pan. It'll be fine. You can be a purist, but it's exhausting and expensive, and sometimes you're just not well prepared. And it's okay to use it once in a while. The whole point is to minimize. Cooking with olive oil. This one really gets me because I do understand where people are coming from. This study came out a few years ago that was like, oh, cooking with olive oil makes it so toxic, blah, blah, blah. But that has since been debunked. It's actually more heat stable than this study proclaimed. Now, you're not going to fry or grill with it, but if you're going to be cooking on a medium low to medium heat, which most people do when they're cooking in a skillet, it's fine to use. I think butter, lard, and tallow usually taste better and are more heat stable options, but olive oil, when cooked correctly, is fine to cook with. And sometimes it does make a dish taste better. And then using mainstream anything. My daughter has a heart condition called VSD. And there was a time we were not sure if she would need surgery or not to be able to live. If she needed to have surgery and they were going to have to, put her under and do pain meds and all of that, we would do it. No question. Back in a few years ago, she had a tumor growing on one of her shins, and it was pretty fast moving, and it had to be removed by a laser. And until she could get into surgery, she was on pain medications for months and then needed a little bit afterwards. I wasn't going to make her be in pain. This is not something that arnica could help with. In fact, nothing but ibuprofen could help her pain at all. Trust me, I tried it all. But I wasn't going to make her suffer for months on end just because I wanted to be a purist and avoid ibuprofen. No, I'm not going to let my child suffer. My toddler got dysentery when we went to the lake last 4th of July. She needed antibiotics. It was 3 weeks of vomiting and diarrhea, and she was losing weight. She couldn't keep anything inside of her. And I'm watching her waste away, and I'm finally calling her doctor, something's wrong. Nothing's helping, And then another time she had this fever that we couldn't really get to stay down. It was going over 105 and bouncing around. And all of my holistic remedies that usually bring down a fever were not working. It turned out she had strep throat and needed antibiotics, and we needed to control the fever. She got them. I'm not going to make a 1-year-old gargle oregano oil and crap. Give me a break, Modern medicine can and does save lives in acute situations. While I do lean heavily on homeopathic and herbal remedies for most things, there's a time and a place for pharmaceutical products. Even in chronic illness, my best friend has lupus, and she's gotten off of a lot of medications, but there are still 2 that she needs. They're on the lowest dose and all of that, but she's tried getting off of them, and her symptoms get really bad, and so she needs them. That is okay. It really is, I promise. It does not make you a failure, and it's not going to completely derail your health. In fact, it's probably making it better. And then when it comes to mainstream body products or hair products or cleaning products, I like to color my hair. I like to be a blonde. I just do. And I want to have soft hair. I've tried lots and lots of hair products, and I just get tired of my hair feeling like straw. So I have decided to use mainstream hair products that don't use sulfates and some other things. But they still have some crap in them. But that's what I use because I want to have soft hair and I want my color to last. I do use clean lotions, face wash, avoid perfume, rarely get my nails done. So there's other things that are really, really important to me that I try my best to minimize toxins. And then there's some that I'm this is the give and take. Same with cleaning products. I use clean cleaning products, but I use chemical stuff to clean my toilets because I've tried all the other stuff, and toilets are gross, and viruses and stuff spread through feces, and so I'm going to disinfect my toilets. And I keep 409 on hand in case ants decide to scope out my house because it removes the trail that they leave behind so I don't get ants coming in over and over and over again. And if I get a bug infestation, I'm going to give me all the toxins. I do not want bugs in my house. So it's all about making informed decisions and picking and choosing what works best for you and your family. Don't let social media extremism make you forget that the foundations matter more than anything. Anything above and beyond the foundations is great, but it's not necessary for a healthy life. Experiment, pick and choose what's most important to you, and do what you have the capacity for. And just a quick reminder, the foundations are eating a real, whole, minimally processed diet, sleeping 7 to 9 hours nightly, going outside and getting sunshine daily, daily movement and exercise, a supportive community and healthy relationships, healthy stress management strategies, and minimizing toxins. If you want personalized help nailing down these foundational pieces, I would love to partner with you through my Therapeutic Food Framework. It's an online course that also includes one-on-one coaching sessions with me and will upgrade your food and lifestyle baseline to a healthy one that is tangible and realistic to do without overwhelm or all the guesswork and frustration. What took me 7 years, you'll have down in 3 to 4 months. And I will include the links to these in the show notes so you can learn more about me and more about the framework. So, if this is something that you might want to consider getting help with, check them out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you found this episode helpful, would you do me a favor and help others find it by leaving a review, sharing a screenshot on social media, or sharing the link with a friend? By you sharing what you've learned, others are able to find this podcast and join our community. Be sure to check out my website, www.roadtolivingwhole.com, for over 160 delicious recipes, a variety of meal plans, and a blog packed full of even more healthy living tips. If you'd like to learn more about how to work with me as your coach, you can schedule a free consult through www.roadtolivingwhole.com/health-coaching/. Until next time, friend. Bye.